Currently employ approximately 750 people across 3 facilities. Those facilities I'll discuss a little bit further along. And another great thing about TechEtch is that we're 100% employee owned through our ESOP program. So this slide here depicts our corporate headquarters located in Plymouth, Mass, which is approximately 156,000 square feet. In this floor space, we do our etching process along with our flex and rigid flex manufacturing. We also do component assembly, we do forming, we do a lot here. And as discussed, as we're ever growing, the pictures on both the top right and bottom consist of our CEO, Rich Camerano, who's cutting ribbons for both our innovation center, which is the picture on the top right, and our logistics center, which is on the bottom right. The logistics center being approximately 15,000 square feet of space required for material management, both shipping and receiving in material. The picture on the left-hand side is our second facility that's located in Litchfield, Minnesota. The main focus of this facility is for our photo etching process. This floor space is approximately 60,000 square feet. And then about 45 minutes west of our main headquarters in Plymouth, Mass, is our Fall River facility, which its main focus is for shielding manufacturing. That is approximately 46,000 square feet. With TechEtch's quality management that is very well known throughout the country and quite frankly the world, we are very highly focused in the medical, military, and aerospace. Medical being implantables, military in the radar and communications, and aerospace being avionics. These aren't the only fields that we serve. So as mentioned on the top here, we've served approximately 15,000 customers in 2020 alone, and that equates to about 20,000 different locations. And now that we've talked about TechEtch as a facility standpoint, now we want to get into the products and capabilities that we can provide to you guys. And before doing so, I just want to show a quick video about our photo etching process. And this process we use across all 3 of our product lines and kind of explains how we move about in manufacturing each product.
The first thing that needs to happen for a part to be chemically etched is for there to be artwork generated. Drawings are taken from computer data and photo plotted onto film, creating areas on the film that are either black or clear. Depending on the type of photoresist being used, either the clear areas or the black areas will be the image of the desired part. Generally, there are 2 pieces of film created that are aligned precisely front to back. Metal is then selected, and sheets are cut to match the size of the film created. The metal is then cleaned to remove any residual oils and oxides. It is very important to have clean surfaces on the metal to make sure the resist that will be applied will adhere successfully. The sheets are then coated with the photosensitive resist. The resist is sensitive to UV light and resistant to acid. After the resist is applied, the material is then placed between the 2 pieces of artwork that have been created. The resist-covered sheet is then exposed to UV light to create the desired image on the coated metal. Generally, where the light shines through the clear areas of the film, the resist is exposed and becomes hardened. Where the resist is shielded from the light by the black areas of the film, the resist remains soft. After exposure to the UV light, the sheets are put through a developer where the soft resist is dissolved away and the hardened resist remains. The sheet of material will then have resist remaining in the areas where the material needs to remain, while the rest of the sheet has exposed metal where the material is to be removed. The next step is to have the sheet put through an etching machine, where etchant is sprayed on both sides of the sheet. Where the etchant comes in contact with exposed material, the metal is dissolved. Where the resist has been applied, the material will be protected from the etchant. When the sheet is finished etching, the remaining resist must be removed. This is done by applying resist stripper, which dissolves the resist. The result is the finished etched part.
And that's pretty much the cycle. So we kind of have a little expression here internally. It's clean coat, expose, develop, etch, and then we strip away the resist. Now, understanding this process kind of gives you an understanding of each of our product lines and how we manufacture the product. So our first product line is, again, the photo etch or precision etched and formed product line with materials starting at approximately 0.5 mil thick, going up to 40 mil. Typically after 40 mil, we start getting into laser cutting of that process. The good thing is we're compatible with both ferrous and non-ferrous alloys. Noble metals such as gold or silver, we don't etch. It's not etch compatible, but the good thing is that we do finishes with those processes. So the good thing about the photo etch process is we're able to etch multiple parts within a panel at the same time. So we gain efficiencies in both cost and time. It's also burn free. So again, it's a great product. We're able to hit very fine line features, and it's great use. We also have the ability to form this product, and we have 3 different functions for doing so. That's hand bending on depth etch lines. We also have dedicated hard tools for if you're going into production. And if it's low volume R&D, we do prototype tooling. So again, we do finishes such as tin, lead, gold, both hard and soft. We do nickel, electrolytic, and electroless. So we have a wide variety of finishes that we can help support in terms of finishing that metallization. I'm not going to go too in depth in terms of design features and capabilities. If you guys have any questions or concerns, you can please feel free to reach out to me. I just want to emphasize that, when you come to TechEtch, we're going to help facilitate you guys in terms of the design. And what I mean by that is we're going to help direct you guys in a path that's both manufacturable, and also we want to make this design as cost efficient for you guys as possible. We want to, not only do we want to help you guys in the R&D stage, we hope to secure that production order. So again, if we can offer the best price possible, we of course want to facilitate you guys in that process. So the next product line we have is the Flex and Rigid Flex circuit program. So we're able to offer both single and multi-layer flex circuits, and by multi-layer, it's 6+ metal layers. We also offer a very unique process, which is our polyimide etching. And I'm going to point my cursor to the part here and kind of give you a little circle. So what we're able to do is we're able to chemically etch or remove the polyimide in select regions. And what that allows for is that allows for access to your metal feature set from both the top and bottom side. And the great thing about that is you can, without the use of, say, an added value component, you can lay your flex circuit on, say, another PCB or application and bond directly to that. We also do contour to what they call sculptured flex circuits, which I'm pointing to right now. And what a contoured circuit is basically you have these thick leads in one section. So say you need to solder and, you need a robust lead for fear of fracturing that lead. We can go really thick in select regions and then narrow down in the rest of the flex circuit, which allows for that flexibility, or say you have to slip it into a tight feature set. We offer both subtractive and semi-additive processes. Semi-additive processes is a little bit more expensive, but allows for very tight feature sets, narrowing down to less than 1 mil trace in space. Of course, that will be part of DFM dialogue with what processes is going to be required based on your design. And again, we'll try to facilitate you guys down the right path in terms of what you need, and also providing, again, the most price-friendly offer. We also do value add. So again, in our Plymouth facility, we do SMT. We do through-hole assembly. We also do electrical testing. So we do flying probe for opens and shorts. And we also create custom fixtures for, say, custom needs such as impedance or phase angle testing. You name it. Any kind of test that you guys need, we can create a custom fixture to help support you guys. We've also learned through the years that through our precision etch and form team that we can form flex circuits as well. And I'm going to point to a part down here that is formed as well. We do selective finishing, which is shown here. You may need this, for example, say you have a ZIF connection where you need some hard gold on some contacts, but then say you need to solder a connector on the other end. We can support you guys with different finishes, again, to help facilitate you guys in your assembly process. We also do shielding on flex circuits as well. And another unique thing that we do is we use foreign coppers. I call it foreign for flex circuits. Instead of just your standard copper, we've learned again through our precision etch team that we can apply different metal sets on flex circuits, say stainless steel, so on and so forth. Pretty much any metal that we can etch, we can apply to a flex circuit. And our final product line is our RFI EMI Shielding. And these are just a few examples of product that we supply. So we supply off the shelf, and we also supply custom design. So we have our beryllium copper shielding gaskets, which I'm pointing to right now, metallized fabric over foam, which I'm pointing to, down below, wire mesh gaskets, our honeycomb vents, which I'm pointing to, and we also do custom board level shielding. So again, we can etch form, and we can also join the edges by welding or soldering, or also creating mechanical joints as well. So now that we've given you a quick overview of the product lines, we're now going to talk more specifically about the Innovation Center and how the Innovation Center can help you guys with regards to quick turn deliveries.
All right, thanks, Chad. So the Innovation Center, what is the Innovation Center? So Innovation Center is our newly renovated manufacturing space, which is located right here in Plymouth, Massachusetts, which is our headquarters, like Chad mentioned during the overview. It's 3,700 square foot of floor space, and it's dedicated specifically with prototype equipment. And what I mean by that is it's kind of designed, as we'll get into as we discuss a little bit more about the types of projects we do and when you might want to use the Innovation Center. This equipment's designed for low volume work, flexibility, adaptation. Basically, it's more of a lab setting so that we can adjust what our customers are asking for. We can adjust our equipment very quickly. And the purpose of the Innovation Center is to support our customers' most demanding prototyping, development, and quick turn project needs. And that's all, the space that we built, the equipment that we purchased, the technicians, the staff, it's all dedicated specifically for this mission and for this purpose. So this Innovation Center allows us to focus on these small production runs that are in the prototype stage and development stage. We can provide focused attention and care, all without disrupting either normal production deliveries or the overall engineering and sales staff that's focusing on our main production. So think of the Innovation Center as dedicated to these prototype builds, these development builds, low volume, high flexibility, and we're going to get into that more now. So why use the Innovation Center? Again, I just went over that kind of top point, what our focus is, what kind of is our bread and butter through the Innovation Center. And why you want to use that is so that you can use TechEtch to improve the transition from prototyping through development and finally into production, right? So if you're using TechEtch at every stage of the process, it'll be a seamless transition both for you as far as what the expectations are of the product that you're receiving, but also internally at TechEtch, we can transition, from the Innovation Center team, Chad and myself, to the main operations, production, engineering groups. And all of that combines to allow us to give you a better end product and understand the challenges that go into making that product. Because if we understand the challenges at the prototype stage, then by the time we get through to development, we should be able to improve that process. When it goes into production, we're already set up to succeed and hopefully be able to deliver on what was agreed upon between the customer and TechEtch. The other time to use the Innovation Center is when there are some challenging designs that might require maybe not full R&D, but I'll say approaching R&D level process investigation. Again, this process investigation can be very difficult. Coming from a process engineering background, if I wanted to work on a new process or develop it, sometimes you need to wait for equipment, sometimes you need to slip into a production schedule. It's just tough. It's really tough to do. So with the Innovation Center, we can take some of our customers' challenges and say, yeah, we can try to do this on what I'll call a best effort basis or an investigatory basis. And these challenging designs can get the attention that they deserve, and they can be done quickly so that we can get our customers part in hand and that we can understand the process better. So it just allows us to take some of these, weird one-offs maybe, or something that we're not entirely familiar with, and give it a lot more attention. And again, without impacting either normal production deliveries or things of that nature. The other thing, and we have some examples at the end, and we'll touch on this, but I've talked about not impacting production deliveries. So let's say that you use TechEtch already, and you have a part that might require some DOE or design of experiments on the end use challenges that you're seeing. What we can do in the Innovation Center is support that DOE by making and iterating on the design without impacting production. So you'll still be getting all the normal deliveries that you're expecting, but we can get parts in hand so that you can test them at the same time. So that's a huge advantage, I think, for both TechEtch and our customers. So greater flexibility. Again, we have some examples, but I mentioned the equipment being adaptable and easily changeable. We also can be a little bit more creative with our CAD design, our panelization that Chad mentioned on how we lay out the parts. We can do multiple iterations, maybe on one PO and one job release. So there's some huge advantages there. And because we're getting you parts at an accelerated lead time, we can iterate on those designs when, maybe the customer doesn't quite know what product characteristics they want, right? They're not finalized. So they can kind of go through multiple iterations and get parts very quick. And I mentioned this about that transition from prototype through development to production. Not only does that help TechEtch, where we're understanding the challenges and we are, me and Chad are communicating with ops, we're communicating with engineering, but those challenges in manufacturability, when we understand them at the early stages, over the entire product life cycle, we're then able to hopefully keep costs down for both ourselves and for the customer. So in doing that, and using the Innovation Center, that should help over the entire product life cycle and not just through production. And then let's say, we start to understand it as we get halfway through a production life cycle, and then, those cost savings are limited. So again, hopefully that by using the Innovation Center, and the intent is that we're able to understand this early and help keep everything lower during the entire life cycle. And finally, ultimately, we're able to get parts in your hands fast. So all these things are great, and I think they're added value for both TechEtch and the customer, but we can get you prototypes fast, and usually that's what our customers are looking for when they use the IC. I say IC, I might do that again later in this presentation. Internally, we all call it the IC, so excuse me if that slips out again.
We're being quick and efficient.
Yeah. So what does the process look like when you use the Innovation Center? And there's that acronym again, IC. Those of you that are familiar working with TechEtch will probably be familiar with this process, but we did want to go over it because it is a question that Chad and I get asked quite frequently, which is, who do I contact? What's the process? How does the lead time timers start? Those kind of things. Obviously, it starts with an RFQ, request for quote inquiry. Now, that can go directly to Chad, or the IC has, its own contact information that you can find on our website. But if you're familiar with TechEtch already, or if you have a contact, you can feel free to continue to use them as the primary contact for a project that you think is a good fit for the IC. Chad and I will be, and Chad's team will be supporting that opportunity if you're going through that contact, but he won't be the direct point of contact. So, if you're comfortable using someone, feel free to keep using them, and they know how to recognize a good IC opportunity, and they'll funnel those to Chad. And then we typically do a design review. And what we're looking for here is design for manufacturability, right? If it's at a prototype stage, this is when we want to talk about whether or not the feature set that you're providing is something that we can make easily through our manufacturing process. And if it's not something, we can collaborate and negotiate maybe where we can take exceptions on the challenges, or what kind of feature sets, and all of this in mind to make sure that we meet your form, fit, and function. It's a very common term, I think, in this industry, but it really is our goal. You know, we want to make sure the part that we get works, and we want to make sure that we're able to build it in a cost-efficient way for both ourselves and for you. So that usually happens in the quoting process, and then we'll send you a quote. And then that's when the order is placed, assuming everything's agreed. And that timer, that lead time timer, pretty much starts right the day after, the next business day when we receive the PO. That's the typical timer. So there's other things that could impact that. So it's not a totally hard and fast rule. You know, there might be material that we're waiting on that we've sourced and we need to wait for that to arrive. There might be design approval that we need, like if we've had some scenarios where the customer is not entirely sure what the part even looks like yet, so we help them a little bit on tweaking that design. And once we send it for approval, that's when the lead time begins. So there's some gray area there, but typically it's on order placement. And that's when internally we'll immediately get the ball rolling on getting our tooling, any CAD files that we need, and then MOM, or method of manufacture, we begin those activities. Then it gets handed off to manufacturing. So I mentioned the dedicated staff and the dedicated equipment in the IC. The technicians that are in the Innovation Center are able to work on your job or your project from start to finish. And that is something that's a little bit different than our main production floor. And the intention there is that they can give your project some of the attention that it deserves and communicate challenges from start to finish while understanding the impact to that form, fit, and function. So it just allows us to have a little bit better lead times because we're not handing it off from one department to the other, but also it allows us to understand really what the difficulties in the build were and really understand how that impacts production. Everything we do in the Innovation Center gets 100% visual inspection, and we do that to internal and any agreed upon acceptance criteria with the customer. And we also do, which I'll mention a little bit in the next section, we do an AQL sample size measurement of key features. I'll get into that in more detail when we talk quality, but that is something that's standard for every project we work on. Then obviously the last step, at least for this, is delivery. We have multiple shipping options, overnight, standard ground. We can do international, although there's some negotiations I understand that have to take place with that. And hopefully we get a satisfied customer. As for lead times, I'd like to stress that this is design dependent, but these are the standards that we've been seeing since we opened back in December. Flex circuit, depending on layer count and design, 3 days to 3 weeks. Rigid flex, 1 to 3 weeks. Precision etch, 2 to 5 days. Etch and form, 3 days to 3 weeks. And then shielding, again, 3 days to 3 weeks. So that's kind of the expectations that you can loosely set for yourself depending on the complexity of the part. And then once you get that part, once the customer receives it, you know, they test the part, they provide build feedback to Chad and myself so we understand, you know, what went well, what didn't go well, analyze the data through the end use that they're using it for. And hopefully that leads to a production build, assuming all goes well. But it's entirely possible that we need to iterate and rerun. And again, that's something that the Innovation Center is set up to do very quickly. One thing I didn't quite mention when I was talking equipment, but that we have is we use direct imaging. So as far as tooling is concerned, that means that we don't necessarily have to remake tooling for our photochemical process. We can just upload a CAD file, send it to the machine, and make any changes that we want, and it'll be able to take that change very quickly. So all of that helps us iterate and rerun quickly. Okay, excuse me. Everyone's favorite topic, quality. So TechEtch as a facility is ISO 9001 and AS 9100 certified. However, the Innovation Center is excluded from these certifications at this time. And that's partially to do with the newness of the Innovation Center and also with the reliance on speed. I do want to stress, though, that this shouldn't scare you away from using the Innovation Center, because we follow industry best practices on pretty much everything that I think would be important to our customers. So non-conformance control, we have a method and we follow that where we're keeping track of discrepant material, what went wrong, and what we're doing about it. Lot traceability. We use the same ERP system that we use in production, And that forces us to use lot traceability. So everything that goes through the Innovation Center has a unique part number to TechEtch, has a unique lot code for every lot that goes through. And that allows us to trace material, what stock it's from, what was issued, et cetera, et cetera. We also follow the same practice that we do in production as far as equipment traceability. We use the same calibration database that our main production floor uses, same preventative maintenance database. So all of this kind of is things that we think are important for the successful function of the Innovation Center internally. And I think it's things that our customers believe in as well. So we do get questions on this a lot. And if you do go through us, you'll see some notes on the quote regarding this. I kind of want to hopefully put you guys at ease as far as what we are focusing on and what we find important. Going a little bit further, our standard practice is to perform, I mentioned this earlier, AQL measurement of part features that are key to the process. So when we etch something, we have a key dimension that we need to focus on. Plating, it might be plating thickness. So we take those measurements that we think are important to our process, and we also have measurements that we think are important to the function of the part. We agree upon that with the customer, and we measure that during the process, and we reject anything that fails, and we accept what passes, essentially. We can also measure whatever is specifically requested by the customer. It really depends on the project. First article inspections. So a fair is not standard. We do not 100% measure every dimension on a blueprint, but that can be requested if it's a requirement. What I would say is that you would expect the lead time to go up by a couple of days at a minimum, depending on the complexity of these measurements, and the cost to go up as well. We can also provide data and serialization of the parts, and that's available upon request. Same thing with special process certification, and same thing with regulatory certification requirements. We can negotiate all of that during the quoting process if it's something that's required for you. And ultimately, I think the message that I want to convey is that the product that we produce in the Innovation Center is comparable to our production outputs. What we are striving for, and I think what we've achieved so far, is being able to say that what we built in the IC is what you can expect when you go to qualify and then move this to production.
Thanks, Noah. Now what we want to do is we want to provide you guys with some examples of scenarios that we've seen and that we've processed to hopefully give you guys ideas on how the Innovation Center can help support you as a company and as a partner. So again, we're going to go over 3 scenarios. So the first scenario is that we had a customer, we'll call them customer A, where we etched and formed, then populated that component onto a flex circuit. The design exceeded standard recommendations based off of industry standards. The part is currently going through the qualification process in production, but they want to make some tweaks. The great thing about the Innovation Center is we're not going to slow down production, so they can still continue along that qualification process while we start looking at different implementations or design changes that can help improve the product. Another great thing about the Innovation Center is that not only are we looking at one change, we're looking at multiple changes to the design. And again, with the Innovation Center, you're going to have that specialized focus on it. That allows us to do that and not have any logistical issues. So again, in parallel, we're running both in production for qualification, and we're making those design changes. We've already provided the customer with a few different iterations, which again, just helps stimulate the mind and helps push for additional changes or improvements that can further along. So again, if you guys have a design that might be set and you guys think that you can look for ways for that, you can improve the product, come see the IC and we can help support you guys with that.
All right, this is actually funny because we got a question. So somebody's getting their question answered earlier. This is scenario 2. So we've had this happen where we have a customer and essentially we've made the same 3 parts for them. What is it, like 8 times? A lot of times. And basically they were trying to figure out their design. So they're trying different things such as material thickness, material temper, finish type, feature size, etc. So every time they send us a set of 3, that's one change that they've made, and they want that set of 3, and they want the parts back, and then they'll analyze it and then request another set of 3. So Jeff had a question, can you put different parts on one panel? And the answer is yes. So in the Innovation Center, what we were able to do with this, because the material thickness was the same for all 3 parts, the material temper was the same, and the material type, is we can work with our CAD department to panelize it with all 3 part designs on one panel, and then use it under one job release and one shipment to the customer. And that's a huge advantage over our production floor, in that if you wanted 3 different parts, even if they were the same material type or thickness, we would always request that you have that under 3 different TechEtch part numbers, 3 different job releases. You might have 3 different minimum buy-ins. So in going through the Innovation Center on this low volume work where you still aren't quite sure what you want, we can do it on one, as long as the whole package makes sense. You know, there might be some cases where the features, when we etch them, they just won't correlate together. So it is design dependent a little bit, but if assuming feature size and material type and everything is the same, yes, we can absolutely do that. And that's kind of what this scenario was. So Jeff, you're lucky you got an answer early.
Then the last scenario is actually, it's something that we're super excited about, is if you guys have a design or a process that TechEtch isn't accustomed to, or that we're not set up for, at low volumes, we can try that process out and understand if it's something that we're capable of. So an example is, we had a customer who wanted us to depth etch or remove a small portion of material on a round wire. So if you guys are accustomed with TechEtch, we typically process in panel form, so it's flat and we just etch. So through the Innovation Center, we looked to solve that problem or process, and we were successful. And what we do is, again, because the Innovation Center is located in our Plymouth production facility, is that we're able to take those lessons learned and flow that out to the production floor. So essentially what happened is, the customer was satisfied with the product that we ran through the Innovation Center. They wanted us to produce more in volume in production, and we worked with our engineers on the production floor to set up that process. And we're currently building, again, something that we typically wouldn't build. We're now building it in production at our Plymouth facility. So again, those are just a few of the scenarios that we've seen that help hopefully guide you guys with, you know, a thought process on, again, how can TechEtch and most importantly the Innovation Center help support you guys. The picture here is just a quick brochure. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me personally. Again, my phone number and my email address is at the bottom. If you're associated with another product engineer already at TechEtch, feel free to contact them, and again, we can have that group conversation. Min, I believe you're videoing this presentation. We can send that out to you. We're more than happy to send out this presentation as well. We have the website with a lot of literature and information on there as well. But I can't stress enough, just please feel free to reach out to me personally.
So it looks like we don't have any questions on the Q&A. So Chad and Noah must have been very thorough with their information. But we do just want to answer some frequently asked questions that we've received in the past. Like, what is the communication like between the Innovation Center and production?
Yeah, I think Chad touched on this a lot, and I touched on it a little bit. Being located in Plymouth is awesome for us. You know, it is our headquarters, and we are able to walk directly out onto the, we're just starting to get some questions, so that's great. But we are able to communicate directly with, you know, operations here in Plymouth and talk about the challenges that we're seeing, show them, you know, tactile presentation on how we ran something in the Innovation Center. And a lot of the times that's critical, because we've mentioned we're working on parts that don't necessarily have a true standard operating procedure yet, or the method isn't quite locked in. So if we can physically show them how we did something, it's a huge advantage to us. In conjunction with that is there are resources available to us in Plymouth, right? We're a 3,700 square foot facility, the Innovation Center, but Plymouth is huge, and we're able to take advantage of that collaboration and that cooperation when we can. So all of our focus is to improve the transition to production, to improve collaboration, to make sure that we're not taking in business that we don't necessarily know how to make. So that communication is essential, and I think it's been key so far.
Yeah, just again to further, the objective of the Innovation Center isn't just to provide parts quickly. It's to help get you guys on the right path to getting to production as soon as possible. So again, we have that collaboration with the production team. So we're not just going to build parts that you send the design to. We're going to take a look at the design, make sure it's manufacturable in volume, provide that feedback to you guys, hopefully make those changes, and build to what we perceive as a production-worthy product. So again, that collaboration is huge and something that you just don't see at just your standard quick turn shop.
So we have another question from Joe. He wants to know, are we tracking jobs to see if they turn into production?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So we keep track of every single new opportunity that we receive here at TechEtch. And we also work with the customer to define what that opportunity is. And, sometimes a customer just wants a one-time quick turn order, or sometimes it's going into production. So again, we have those conversations up front with the customer to set expectations. And again, the goal is to be a business partner with you guys, not only through the prototype stage, but all the way through production. So again, we're having those communications. And of course, we're tracking to verify that we're supporting you guys in getting those production opportunities.
Next question is from Tiffany. Can we use the Innovation Center for existing production work as well?
That's a wonderful question, Tiffany. Yep. So we can help support you guys with the caveat. So as Noah stated previously on the slide, we aren't ISO certified right now. We are using prototype specific equipment, right? So if you have a production part that say has a no change or is very critical, we're going to have those conversations. What's the expectations for these product? So again, I can't stress enough where we want to help support where possible, but we want to be honest and upfront and set that expectations that again, we're using allocated equipment for the need for speed, and that we're not using production equipment that you have been experiencing in production.
And our next question is from Dean. What are your plating capabilities, internal, external?
So we have internal plating capabilities. We can do anything from rack plating to sheet plating. We have nickel, dull nickel, semi-bright nickel, bright tin, matte tin. Oh gosh, copper. We do flex copper. We do soft gold, hard gold. Yep, we do soft and hard gold.
Electrolytic.
We do electrolytic gold. That's a good distinction. We do immersion silver. We do electrolytic silver. We do immersion tin. So I guess, we do a lot of different plating processes. We also do conversion film on aluminum. We do black oxide on steel and copper. We have a lot of finishing and value add capabilities. And I would just stress, if you want a finish on your part, ask for it, and I'm pretty sure we can make it happen.
Yep, and we do have external options as well, more specifically on the flex side. So we do ENIC, so an electroless gold, and we also do Hassel. That's an outsourced process for us.
Another frequently asked question is, can we use the Innovation Center? I'm sorry, do you see future plans? What are your future plans with the Innovation Center?
So, yeah,
we definitely want this to grow. I think in the last 6 months, we've had a lot of really good success stories, and we've kind of seen how we can help our customers in new ways, both internal and external customers. I think there's a lot of chances for growth.
I mentioned that the facility is only 3,700 square feet. That might sound, small to some of you, but we left room available to expand. So hopefully, during that construction, we had the foresight to say, we want this to grow. So there is room for us to expand that footprint. And there's also space in the 3,700 square feet that we already have where we want to see what our customers are asking us to build, right? Because we weren't quite sure. We had an idea, but we weren't quite sure exactly what direction this was going to take and what kind of products we were going to make. So we left floor space for future expansion. And I think, Chad's goal is to make it so that I have to fill that floor space. I definitely think that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and that almost furthers into Joe's question about, are we tracking key opportunities? So again, we are, and we're trying to understand, what opportunities are out there further, right? So if there's a trend, we've been seeing a lot of repeat orders from customers, not for the same designs, but for more. They've been very pleased with our work. So again, if we see a specific trend where they need this, we'll call it process X, absolutely, we're going to look into it and see if we can get there to help support them.
Well, since there are no other questions, we'll end the webinar. We want to thank you all for joining. And also, please do reach out to us. You can check out our website, techetch.com/innovation center, and you can reach out directly to Chad and Noah for any further information.
Thank you, everybody. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. This was great. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Thanks.
Have a great day.